Hey, what's up everybody? We're back on the old Saturn. Just to catch everybody up in case you missed it, this is our 2008 Saturn Aura. I believe I'm saying that right. And this is our flip car. It's an XR model. It has the 6-speed transmission and we are missing gears. No reverse, no third, and no fifth gear, which is a common issue on these. And we are attempting to fix it. This is going to be our second try. The first try didn't go so well. We got in there and found out that someone had already installed a Sonax drum repair kit and they didn't install it right at all. They left a lot of stuff out. So we got in there, we made an attempt to try to repair that, and some of you guys you said that it looked like there was a little bit too much slop in the stack where it has the layers from the wave plate, steel, clutch plate, and then on. It just keeps going in layers, and y'all are saying there's not enough layers. Some of you guys have been commenting that there's supposed to be 4 clutch discs in here and that we only have 3, so we're going back in. Now when we put this thing back together on the first attempt, it did try to go backwards. It tried to move, which is an improvement over what it was doing before. So it does kind of make sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense actually that maybe there's just too much space between those clutch discs and the steels, and it's just not enough friction going on there. It's not biting in and actually allowing it to go backwards. It's trying, but unfortunately, it's just not quite getting there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this cover off again. I've already showed you guys all of that on the first video. So I went ahead and I've actually got everything apart. We dropped the subframe. If you guys want to see how to do that, you can go watch the video before this. I showed everything on how to drop the subframe. This does have to come down just a bit to get this out of here. Otherwise, it just hits up against the frame rail there. Okay, so now that everybody's caught up to speed, in case you'd missed it, this is where we're starting now. I'm going to get the fluid drained out. I'm going to save the fluid because it's all brand new and it is pricey. I do think that it'll be clean enough that we can reuse it. So I'm going to go and get the fluid out of there, and then we're going to pop that cover off. We're going to dig all that stuff back out of there. So yeah, I didn't figure I would bore you guys too much with taking this all back apart since we did already go over that. But we will start with draining the fluid out first. And that's just a little drain plug located right there. It's a little 11mm drain plug, and there you have it. We'll get all of that out of there. Might go ahead and undo the cap as well. It might help it drain out a little better. There we go. It's located just down in there. Okay, now with that done, go ahead and slide this out of the way. We'll go put a lid on it or something so we can save it, keep the dirt out of it. Let's get this cover popped off of here. I've got everything else done already. We already pulled our front cover off so that we could get that plug undone. This is the wire we're talking about for anybody that may have missed it. This wire has to get fished out of there. All right, that's located under the cover. There's no getting this cover off without doing that. You can't skip that step. It just won't work. At least as far as I know, they just don't look like they give you enough slack to pull that whole cover out of there without getting up in there and unplugging that first. But all right, so there's the cover out of the way. Let's pull this drum back out here just like we did last time. At least this time it should all come out as one piece. Remember last time it all fell apart when we pulled it out because they didn't put the clip on. So here we go. Let's get our drum on out of here. All right, let's take it over to the bench. So yeah, not really sure why, but there is a clutch disc missing. I guess it's from when they pulled it apart the first time and tried to install that drum repair kit. I guess they didn't put all the clutch, the actual clutch discs in there, the friction discs, and that's why our stack isn't tall enough. So I got to get down to the transmission shop and grab one of those. They are very inexpensive. I mean, they're only like $5. So I'll run down there and grab one of those, and we will get that in there. And that should be the missing piece that should get us up and going again, I do believe. All right, so we are getting back from the transmission shop. I picked up another one of those little clutch discs. This thing's only $5. So far we got $9 into this deal. So yeah, this guy right here, $5 down at the transmission shop. I've been letting it soak in some transmission fluid since it is brand new. I don't believe I'll have to do that with any of the used ones. I think they're okay. We'll just kind of wipe them off and put them on here. So we're going to pay very special, close attention to our instructions this time. We thought we had it last time, and a lot of y'all pointed out that no, there's not supposed to be that much play. So we know that now. Thanks to guys like Jay's Mobile Mechanic. He's kind of my tech advisor at this point. He's always getting on here pointing out like, hey man, if you just do this or that, you would have it. And we'll go back and we'll try it, and it works. And this, I'm hoping this is going to be the same thing. And so here we go. Let's get our wave plate installed. We're going to do it exactly like the instructions. We're going to top that with our drum saver kit. Let's see if we can't kind of wipe this off and keep everything nice and clean. Here's our brand new disc, clutch disc. We're going to follow this up with another steel, as they're called. Another clutch disc, another steel. And just keep repeating this process. Clutch disc, steel, back again, clutch disc. This one looks kind of dry. Let's put a little transmission foot on there. There we go. And then our final, what do they call this? The backing plate. So we have now done this exactly like the instructions. We didn't leave anything out this time. Huh, what a mistake to make, right? So now we could put our ring end. And some of you guys are saying that we may have to kind of press on this. I don't know. Let's see. The idea is that wavy plate that we put on, the very first one, is going to kind of hold pressure against the stack, kind of holding it against this this ring here. If I could just get this work down in there, kind of get it started. We'll get it on around here. Be careful, we don't want to break our clip. I mean, we had to go through all that trouble to get it. Now, obviously, it's not in its groove yet. When you guys remember the groove, so we will need to kind of push this down. There it goes. It's starting to snap into the groove. Let's push it, kind of push it as hard as we can. Put my weight on it here. There we go. I heard it click in. Let's go through. Now, the idea is that let's drop my screwdriver. The idea is that this snap ring, the thing that was missing in the very beginning, is going to sit down in that groove on this backing plate. And look, that's exactly what it's doing. It's actually sitting down in the groove, and that's exactly what we're wanting. We just want to make sure it's seated properly. I'm going to go around, I'm going to look at it, and it is definitely in that slot that's made for that ring to snap into, and it's down in its groove where it's supposed to. And look, let's try this out. There is hardly any play this time as compared to the first time. Some of y'all said like 10 thousandths in between each one. I mean, I don't know, y'all. What do you think? Does that look excessive? Now, when I was watching the videos of them installing that Sonax drum saver kit, he put a little gauge on it and he did this little number, and that's about what it looked like when it was moving. It was just barely that little bit. Now remember, when we put this thing together the first time, the car tried to move, but obviously there was just too much play in our stack here, and I don't think that's going to be an issue this time. It seems as though it's going to engage this time. Like there should be enough friction going on. Like I can fit, like they say you're supposed to be able to move these, but with a little bit of resistance. And I mean, it feels okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to do with it besides that. We obviously can't put any more in there. This is what it says to put in it. That's what's in it. So I don't know what else to do besides just send it. So we're back over here at the transmission, and it's really important that you get all of these discs here up in their grooves. It's got grooves all the way around for these tabs to sit in. And if they're not in that, if they're sticking out above the surface, of the transmission itself, the shell here, that cover will not snap on here. These plates have tabs that stick down, and they go down here to the bottom. So as long as you get them all lined up, that's what you're going for. So that'll be your lineup point. And then make sure they're all pushed in. Now, what I was doing, the trouble I was having is every time I'd put the cover up here, this guy would kind of come out of its groove and kind of fall around, and then it wasn't allowing me to get the cover all the way up on there. So it's just a little something to think about. A little trick I tried that worked out pretty good was I just took a little piece of welding wire stick it on the end of my plug here. Remember, that's got to get kind of fished up through there and out that the front of the transmission has just a little passageway. You could kind of get in there and do it with your fingers. It's kind of a pain, or you could just fish this little wire through there and then pull it on through. And that's exactly what we're going to do, because it worked out great on the last one. So here we go again. Let's get our drum in there, and this is going to take a little bit of doing. You got to be patient with it, because you will have to kind of wiggle and wobble things around while you work this down in there. And then once you get to these, your clutch discs here, you'll want to line those up with the teeth, with the grooves there, and it'll work itself down in there. You see how that kind of dropped in there? And you'll just keep doing that till you get that all the way down in there. Like I said, it will take patience, and while you're working on that part, you see how that kind of dropped in a little bit more? While you're working on that, there we go, drop down a little bit more. Yeah, while you're working on that, all this stuff wants to fall off, but not to worry. Like I said, it's got the little tab at the bottom here, and that all lines up right there. And then obviously the rest of it's going to slide into these grooves here. So yeah, you'll just kind of work it, you know, back and forth. I think we talked about that in the other video, where it just kind of fell down in there, kind of like a torque converter on an automatic transmission. And you just want to just kind of make sure that you're completely in there all the way, because you want that drum to be all the way inside of here. Okay, once you've done that, go ahead and get all of your tabs lined back up. Make sure all of your grooves, everything is lined up, your tabs lined up with all the grooves. Got those tabs faces straight down. Clean your surface. I know we went over that in the last video, but it is important to clean this surface off. Make sure everything's lined up nice and neat where it goes. You know, it's got these little dowels. It's got one here that it kind of stays on, and over here it's got some little things that it kind of lines up with. You want to make sure all that stays lined up where it goes, and then we'll clean the cover off as well. Just everything just like last time. Now that I've got the cover clean, let's get our wire fished back through there. I don't remember if I showed y'all this trick or not, but you know, you remember that wiring harness has to go through the transmission and then come back out over here. So what I've done is I've taken a little piece of welding wire, tied it to my wiring harness, and I'm going to fish this up through there. That's how I did it last time. It worked out really good. Yeah, you see right here, I tied it to the end of the wire, and it goes right through there on the transmission, and we'll pull it off through there as we're putting the cover on. You kind of have to do it all in one movement. Yeah, as you're putting the cover up here, you're going to want to pull the slack out of your wiring harness, kind of get it fished through the hole there. It's a weird design. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. It seems like it would be, but it's really not. Once you get it started through there, it tends to work out okay. It did last time anyway. There we go. Well, we're officially through there. Won't have any problems with that. Now let's get this up there, and as we're doing this, we're going to pull that slack out of that wiring harness and just kind of get this up here into position. It has to go into that hole, remember, in the center of that drum. And right here you see how I'm kind of pulling the slack out of that wiring harness, and this should slip right up on there. You shouldn't have to force anything. If you happen to force it, you're messing up. And don't use the bolts either. I think we talked about that last time. Don't use the bolts to suck this on up here. It's got a little dowel it's going to go onto, and don't be surprised if it takes a few tries. I mean, you may have to take it back apart. Last time I did this on the first try, I did it like 4 times. I was hoping this time would go a little bit easier, but it doesn't really seem to be. Hell, this time might take 5 times, who knows. You guys, I'm not even gonna lie to you. This part is a bit frustrating. Like I mentioned before, it's because everything's kind of leaning out towards you, so things want to fall out as you're trying to put them in. You know, a tip I can maybe recommend is maybe tilting the car over away from you a little bit, kind of tilting that transmission back the opposite direction, and maybe this stuff would stay in there a little bit better. You can use grease. I've been using some grease to kind of dab on the steels to kind of help hold them in there, because they just want to keep tipping and falling back out as you're putting them in, and it's kind of frustrating. In fact, I had a little bit of an issue, and I had to go back and take everything all back apart, just like the first go around. I had to dig everything back out of it. You can see here I've got a bunch of the steels and the clutch packs that still got to go back into it up here. This outer gear is supposed to slip inside of this gear, which is, it's like a ratcheting gear. Listen to it. Sounds just like a ratchet. Well, this one has to slip inside of this one, and for the life of me, I could not get it in there no matter what. And after I would build this thing, I would go to put the cover back on it, and it would come down to literally that much. It would not go the rest of the way on there. And like I said, you cannot force these, so don't do it. Don't even be tempted to do it. It's supposed to just slip right on there. So if you run into that, you'll do what I had to do most likely and get in there and start digging down into your layers and figure out what is out of whack. Something not lined up. In the case of this one, I literally had to go all the way back in, pull everything out. And it was the very first, I think they call it like an input shaft. I'm not even sure what it's called, an input shaft or something like that. It's the very first round gear that starts this whole stack coming out. And that one wasn't slipped down inside of its, inside of the gear that it fits inside of. And that threw the whole rest of the stack off. So you gotta pay attention to that. And again, a lot of the reason that happens is because everything's kind of tilted out away from us. I could go through the trouble, I guess, of jacking this up and trying to tilt it over sideways, but I'm not going to. I think I finally got it. Everything is slipped in the way it needs to. I'm going to use the grease trick and go ahead and get the rest of these steels and clutch discs back in, and then we're going to try again to slip that cap on, and hopefully this time it'll slip right on and I can show you what it's supposed to be like. You're not supposed to be fighting with it or anything. So now that that's fitting in like it's supposed to, we can start with these again. We'll get those slid all the way in. Remember, the tab faces down on these. You can't really get them wrong. It's just going to go a metal steel and then a friction disc or clutch disc, whatever you want to call it. The discs themselves will actually fit onto the teeth, whereas these here, they're held in place with these notches. And remember, this special notch goes down. So you really can't get them wrong. That's kind of cool. Takes a little bit of the guesswork out of it because, you know, I don't do this every day. In fact, I never do this. So it's kind of hard to get used to it and know exactly how everything is supposed to go on some of this stuff. So when they make it only go one way, kind of foolproof, in other words, that's how I prefer it. I do appreciate it when they do stuff like that. So anyway, like I said, you see here, we're just alternating back and forth. We got a clutch disc here, friction disc, whatever they call it, and then a steel. And we just go back and forth like that all the way through the stack. And if everything's the way it's supposed to be, this all should just slip right on here, and we shouldn't have anything holding us up or anything like that. So that'll be nice. It's nothing worse than getting all of this on here and then finding out right at the very end that something all the way down inside of there wasn't right. And that's exactly what we ran into on this. So I think we're just about to run out of pieces here. Let's see. We'll get this one on here. This is where the grease will come in handy, because what I'll do, see how that falls off there? That's just what it does. And we'll throw a little grease on the back side there like that. They sell special stuff for this, you know, just for that, for transmissions. It does basically the same thing. I don't think that's going to harm anything, having a little dab of grease on there. But you see how it holds it? That makes all the difference on this, I promise you. So at this point, we can go back with our drum. Okay, so at this point, we ought to be able to put our drum in again, I think. Let's see if we can get this to go in there. Get all of our stuff lined up here. Remember, all these little notches are going to fit up into those grooves. I mean, that's the idea anyway. Let's see if we can't get this up on here. You'll have to kind of wiggle it around and work it up on there. There, you see how it falls down in there? Some of our discs are a little misaligned. Let's get those back into alignment. See how they're slipping all on there now? Nice, that's exactly what we want. Just kind of twist this around, just work it back and forth. Remember, like I said, like the torque converters on them automatic transmissions, that's pretty much exactly what it's gonna feel like. And at this point, we should have everything on there. You see how everything is in its notches here. Let me see if I can get a better light on it. All of these are sitting inside their notches. That's very important that none of them are outside of that. If so, your cover will not fit on. The pistons inside that cover push against these plates. They push right directly against them, so everything has to be lined up just right. So let's see if we can get that cover on now. So here we go again with another attempt at the cover. Remember to keep that wire tight. You want to pull it tight. Make sure you take the slack out of it. You don't want to pinch the wire in there. Pulling that again. Yeah, we got it all out. Should be good. So that wasn't easy, but I did finally manage to get it. I'm just getting them tightened up now. If you just go in kind of a star pattern, you should be okay. Yeah, I usually like start off over here somewhere and just kind of snug it up just a little bit and then come around over to the other side and just skip around like that, kind of back and forth till eventually they're all tight. You should be all right. Just kind of skip around and don't get carried away, because you will snap the ears off of this right here. It'll snap off easy. So you want to do it evenly. Over here to the side, you'll have to get a wrench up in there. I can't fit my socket in there. But yeah, just kind of snug it up a little bit, then jump over to the opposite side, do that, and jump back, forth, all the way around till it's done. It should be good enough. I've already gone ahead and jacked the transmission back up to kind of get it up off the subframe just a little bit, and that way we could put our mount back in. This just kind of wedges in underneath there a little bit, like that. Pretty easy. In case you missed it on the first video, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in there for you. Might have to set this back down just a little bit to get the holes to line up. Not a problem. We'll do that now. There we go, somewhere around in there probably. There we go. Now we can let the jack down, slide it over out of the way. Then tighten up the bottom bolts. So we're just about done here. I'm literally on the last bolt. This is our transmission mount. You remember we had to remove it to get that front cover off. The front cover is on, all the bolts are in. This is the last bolt for the transmission mount. And then after that, I mean, it's a matter of basically throwing the wheel on. Everything else is done. We've already buttoned up our engine cradle. Transmission mounts are in. The strut is bolted in. Everything's done. So let's just get this finished up. Let's refill it back up with our fluid. You guys remember we saved the old fluid that came out of it because it was brand new. I'm pouring it through my paint filters here. This is what I use anytime I paint a car. This is what we pour our paint through. It's got a really, really fine screen in it. So if there's anything, that should pretty well catch it. Yeah, that filter is very fine. It ought to catch any kind of debris or any dirt, any kind of metal that may have gotten circulated around in the system. I mean, that ought to catch all of it. So it'll be good clean transmission fluid going in. I think you can see the color of it looks fine. Still nice and red. So we've got the battery on the charger. For those of you who don't know, the battery in this thing is shot. It'll take a charge, but it won't hold it. So got it charging up for a few minutes. I think that might be good enough. Let's go over here and test it out. That old battery ought to be good enough just to try this out. All right, cross your fingers, guys. Here we go. Okay, good. No weird noises. That's always a plus. Let's go out and check it for leaks. I don't see anything leaking. That's good. So yeah, let's let it warm up for a few minutes, and then we'll take it through all the gears, check the fluid. Luckily, this one has a dipstick, unlike the G6s and all those. You remember those? You got to go through a weird sequence of events to try to make sure you got enough fluid in it, and this one you won't have to do that. So we will be checking the dipstick, but you want to let it warm up first. Okay, foot on the brake. Let's take it through the gears and see what happens. Dude, it just went into reverse, y'all. It just went into reverse. I felt it. It's kind of a hard shift. I think we're still low on transmission fluid. Look, it's going backwards. What? Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's see. Drive. We're going forward. Now, we went forward the first time too, but no reverse. So you can see there, we are just about to operating temperature, and she's still doing just fine. Hasn't sprung any leaks or anything. That's good. And we're still going into gear. I can't even believe this, y'all. I can hear that power steering pump kind of whining. You hear that? And we don't have any power steering, so, and it's full of fluid too, so it must, I'm guessing the pump's no good. This is such a good feeling, y'all. I can't even believe it. We've got reverse. It's pitch black dark outside. Otherwise I would take it on a test drive, but we're gonna wait till morning for that. So yeah, there you have it, man. It's actually working now. Whether it drives down the street or not, that's another story. And like I said, I'm gonna wait till morning for that. I don't want to break down out here in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. So we will wait until morning to do that. I'm gonna leave the battery on a slow trickle charge. Let that battery have be fully charged for in the morning. That way, you know, for those of you who don't know, these newer cars with all the electronics and all the stuff, if you try to mess with this thing on a half-dead battery, it could affect your shift points and all kinds of stuff. And we're trying to find out if the transmission works properly, so we need a fully charged battery. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight. I'm so curious on how it drives and if it shifts now. But I will admit, I am feeling a little more optimistic. You know, getting in there trying to fight with these things and get it back together, and then you have to take it back apart over and over again, you start to feel like, you know what, let's just get it out of here. I'm tired of messing with it. But seeing this thing go backwards and feeling it go into gear and all of that, man, I'm on cloud nine right now. So hey, it is the next morning, and I'm gonna run into town and grab a couple of quarts of transmission fluid. I did check the fluid, and it's not registering on the dipstick just yet. It needs to be in that crosshatch area, and it's not there yet. So I'm gonna grab a couple of quarts of transmission fluid, and then we'll get started back on this thing. All right, we got our transmission fluid. Let's get back to the house, get that poured in there. I wish they had a Walmart closer by. This fluid's kind of expensive, man. I just spent $21 and some change on 2 quarts of transmission fluid, and that was the cheap O'Reilly's kind. You get a whole gallon of the same thing, pretty much. I mean, same kind, different brand for that price. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. But it saves me a trip all the way back into town, so whatever. So I got it coordinated. I'm gonna check it now. See if we're in that crosshatch area. First thing you wanna do is wipe it off. It's like checking anything else, right? Wipe it off, put it back in. Now we can pull it out, look at it. As long as you're in that crosshatch pattern, in between there and there, you're good. And as you can see, we're all the way to the top, so we ought to be good to go. All right, here we go. Let's take it on a test drive. I can't believe we're actually about to drive this thing out of the shop under its own power without having to pull it out with something else. That'll be the first time since we started this whole deal. So let's see if it holds up. All right, you guys don't mind me while I test out this reverse. I figure what better way than to run up the driveway, about a quarter mile, all uphill. See if we can't test this old girl out. You guys remember on the last drive, we broke down at the top of the driveway and had to coast all the way back down the driveway in reverse. That was no fun. Or actually, I don't know, it kind of was fun actually, but we didn't have any power brakes, any power steering or anything when we did that. And we've got all that now. Kind of weird, my power steering's working. It wasn't working before, and now it's working fine. And as you can see, we are getting right up this driveway without an issue at all in reverse. I'm happy, dude. I mean, it's doing good. Now I know what you're thinking. Weird Beard, you're just showing off. Actually, showing off would be showing you that I can do that with a trailer too. Now here we go, man. We're about to hit the open road. All right, here we go. Moment of truth, y'all. Let's see if we got shifts. Well, one thing, we are running on fumes. We have no gas in this thing, so I don't think we could go far. And I think I forgot to put my dealer tag on here. Oh, crap. Seems to be cruising down the road just fine. I think we're doing about 50 mile an hour, 55 mile an hour, and I haven't seen any issues, nothing weird. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing turned around before we run out of gas, because I mean, we are on fumes for sure. Well, we did manage to make it back, although we are just about completely out of gas. But she does seem to run fine and shift fine. We got a reverse. That's awesome. And I don't know what else to do for it besides maybe shine it up and send it. So that's probably what we'll be doing on it. What do y'all think we can get for it? I mean, in today's market, there ain't no telling what these old cars are worth. I mean, some of y'all's gonna be like, man, that thing's worth this much, that much, or whatever. We just died, y'all. That old battery, man. I'll tell you, watch. I guarantee it ain't gonna start. That battery. Oh well. Hey, at least we made it back. Dead battery, and it probably ran out of gas as well. So we're lucky to be back. We're not broke down on the street. This is why I didn't want to do this last night in the dark. So anyway, I'm glad you guys joined me. I believe that we turned a negative into a positive on this one. When this showed up, I bought it from the auction. I did not tell them to deliver this car. I wanted to leave it there and rerun it through the auction the following week and try to recoup as much of my money as I could possibly get back. And lo and behold, it just popped up here one day. And unfortunately, it had a rod knock as well as the bad transmission. I knew it had a bad transmission. That's why I wanted to leave it at the auction. The rod knock, that was a new one on me. Not sure what caused it to knock. I do believe it happened when they was trying to get it up on the transport trailer because it was extremely low on oil. But anyway, we got in there, we got the knock to go away. And on top of that, it took us a couple tries, but we got it shifting, we got reverse, we've got it all, man. We've got it all shined up thanks to you guys sending me a bunch of cool tools and some industrial strength cleaners, things that I'm not used to using. And I do appreciate all of that. So I think we made some good videos. We recouped our loss. Let's just send this thing on down the road at this point and move on to the next one, get some new content in here. What do y'all think? Some of you guys are going to tell me, man, you need to ask $5,000-$6,000 for it. I don't know. I thought about running it through the auction, maybe even the same auction we bought it from, and just see what we can get for it. But y'all leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about that idea. I thought it'd be kind of interesting. What do we got into it so far? $1,225 got it out the gate at the auction. And then, probably maybe $200 into it by the time we bought the bearings and all that transmission fluid. That's what gets you. I mean, we repaired that transmission for like $9 and it probably cost $75 worth of transmission fluid. But who cares? It's running and driving, and that's all that really matters at this point. How much time do we have into it? Remember, we had to go in there and do the transmission twice. That combined with taking that pan off and doing the rod bearings and all of that. A solid weekend. Every bit of a solid weekend. Probably a good, detailing it all, 20 hours. At least 20 hours all together. Got this car turned around and maybe 75, 85 bucks. I don't know, something like that. So anyway, cool deal, man. I'm happy with it. And don't worry, we will officially go over the numbers once the car sells. We'll break out the receipts and get an accurate edition of everything, every penny that we've put into this, and whether or not we're actually going to make any money or not. We'll tell you all of that once the car is sold. So please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I appreciate everybody watching as always. Hit up my Instagram, link in the description, Facebook as well, so you can get those notifications. That way I can notify you when I put a video out. We don't have to wait on YouTube to do it. I'm going to get on out of here for now. I will see you guys later.